Did you guys get a thing saying if it's recording or not?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, perfect. Why don't we get started? Good morning, everyone. My name is Zion Brigham. Today I'm by myself, but we will be talking about Butte County Farm Bureau's 2024 Healthy Soil Program, really specifying in the hedgerow and mulching aspect of it. It's a little project overview I like to do each time. Um, the HSP or Healthy Soils Program is a grant funded by the CDFA or California Department of Food and Agriculture. It is a block grant that we are currently running through Butte County Farm Bureau. They were awarded about $4 million to initiate this grant within the accepted counties of Butte, Glen, and Tehama. And it kind of specify the different programs you'll see. So we have Butte County at the top, got CDFA, and then we have the Center of Regen Ag-related Systems where I work. That is where me, Ted, and Lindsay, the TAs for this program, operate out of. Um, just to let you know, there are a lot of QR codes I like to use through my presentations of articles or nice links that can help you throughout your application if you're looking for more research. Here is some tips and kind of how to basically take your camera out if you have an iPhone or Android and just scan the QR and it will take you straight to some of these links that are going to pop up throughout the presentation. Okay. And then here's our basic agenda today. Again, this is a two-parter. We're looking at hedgerows and mulching within the practices, really looking at some of the benefits, plant species selection for hedgerows, and then we're going to look at the replan tool breakdowns for both practices, as well as implementation and verification. And then we'll move on to how to geotag photos in that SharePoint. So getting started with hedgerow establishment, as you can see, here's a nice background photo, just looking at a hedgerow bordering a row crop and a orchard system. There is a lot of benefits that come from hedgerows. Hedgerows provide numerous benefits to the grower by enhancing biodiversity, supporting pollinators, which can lead to improved crop yields and ecosystem health. Additionally, they act as natural windbreaks, reducing soil erosion, improving water infiltration, sequestering carbon. That's really what the CDFA is looking at. That's sequestering of carbon and improving soil health. So this is a great practice that involves a lot of that. I break it out further with, as you see with each one of these boxes, supporting biodiversity and pollinators, attracting beneficial insects, improving overall ecosystem health, we go over to reduce wind erosion and crop protection, acts as a natural windbreak, enhances micro activity conditions, creating more stable environment for crops. So basically breaking that wind barrier, maybe not as having as strong as a cold front come through, really helps the smaller systems thrive. We have some improved water infiltration, retention, retaining in soil, enhances that soil structure, decreases irrigation need, water cost. We're creating cool pockets. We're creating water infiltration zones. Sequestering carbon. Again, we're doing anything with green matter, not keeping the soil bare is going to sequester carbon, capturing carbon. It supports compliance with environmental sustainable goals that the CDFA HSP has laid out. And then there is an aspect of integrated pest management system, providing habitats for natural predators, helping to control pests, reducing resilience or reliance on chemical pesticides, and overall just promoting a healthier crop and reducing costs associated with pest management. And I got kind of research articles down here if you're interested in learning more about this information, where I got it from, and going farther. There'll also be some links a little later on that'll help you too. I'm gonna jump in a couple of these. We have enhancing pest control and pollinators with hedgerows. Again, hedgerows play a crucial role in supporting beneficial insects. They deliver a vast and diverse habitat that many beneficial insects can really help. Um, we see some of the benefits with natural enemies attracted. So these are your beneficial insects or natural predators, such as the big-eyed bugs, uh, we got lady beetles, green and brown, lacewing spiders. We have some parasitoids. At the bottom right, you see a parasitoid attacking an armyworm, which is neat. We see some of the pest control or some of the reduced numbers with through the hedgerow implementation. We see aphids, mealybugs, leafhoppers, scales, mites. A lot of these different pests will go down with the implementation of hedgerows, or at least that's what's seen in some of the studies. I link a USDA hedgerow and farm scalping for California Agriculture and Resource Guide for Farmers. So that is a link by the USDA. It is a great book that goes over a lot to do with hedgerow from implementation, problems and fixes for them, benefits, what you'll see, what you don't. A lot of information. Great source of knowledge there. The other aspect I really wanted to highlight was the pollinator and bird habitats that hedgerows increase. Flowering plants and hedgerows support pollinators like bees and butterflies and other pollinators. A lot of flies. Some parasitoids will also be pollinators that can improve yields. There's also the aspect of birds helping control pest, insect, and weed seeds. So help break up that weed bank that you might be making. There's also the point where throughout that USDA book that I had previous mentioned, raptor management of rodents, some hedgerows specifically will adapt or build out and plan for raptors or different larger animals and birds, really helping keep down the rodent population, those ground squirrels, gophers, and such on. We see the benefits of pollinators, pollinating plants, attracting bees, butterflies, beetles to improve crop yields, habitat support, providing nectar, shelter, and pesticide production or protection. Again, a nice part about a hedgerow is it acts as a buffer against pesticide drift. If you have, if you're organic, your neighbor's not, hedgerows are a great way to kind of help create a buffer zone through that. And then we have that birds as a biocontrol agent. They're feeding on those pests, reducing the populations, killing off a lot of those cycles, as well as that weed seed or that weed bait consumption. Birds will eat a ton of seeds during the spring and fall, limiting weed growth or spreading. I have some of the plant species that are very commonly seen throughout hedgerows in California. There's some things I wanted to highlight throughout this. With the CDFA, the minimum of 3 native plant species must be included within your hedgerow. Species should have been selected prior to your application through the Butte County Farm Bill HSP grant. Again, if there is changes that when you go on to your hedgerow that you need to make, please contact the Chico State TAP, such as myself, or contact directly to Butte County Farm Bureau, and we'll get you in the right person or the right knowledge with it. And again, you got some nice pictures. We got some coffee barrels, coffee berry, some euro, some flannel brush, coyote brush, a lot of things you see. I recommend if you want to see some of these plants in their full bloom, or if you wanted to just see what these plants look like prior to purchasing them, Chico State, the main campus, utilizes a lot of these. They've had a lot of California native hedgings and bushwork. There is some great examples out on the university if you ever want to take a look.
Can we ask questions now, or are we going to wait till the end?
I'll have a Q&A in a little bit, Ross.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, and then I have some helpful links. These are all great, looking at the research and what's done throughout hedgerows and some of the benefits that they see. So we have the USDA's Habitat Development for Beneficial Insects. We have ATTRA, Farmscaping to Enhance Biological Control. It's looking at more of the aspect of how hedgerows build up these predator populations to help minimize these pests that we see throughout fields. And we have the Desert Sea Society for Beneficial Insects, looking really at the same thing. I think the most important or hardest hitting part of a hedgerow is building up that biological control. Species included in your plan. This is taking a look at your replan tool and seeing what you have selected and what you might want to change, as well as getting a better understanding of your practice. So as you see right here in this project implementation work plan, we're going to see this payment scenario. Hedgerows through the CDFA replan is all going to be a single row. So just a straight down one row. You'll have your project timeline, what year you need to implement it. If you have any questions with the year, reach out to Butte County Farm Bureau. When you sign, as of you sign, you start that first year. So if you sign in October, year 2 is going to be next year's October. You're going to see your species to be planted. We recommend watering or setting up irrigation systems for at least 3 years until the plant gets set up. However, The replant tool does specify how much they need to be irrigated, as well as their resident status, so if they're native or not, keeping in mind that you need to include at least 3 native for this hedgerow. And then up here with this field one, you're gonna see, you'll be able to click on the link. So see page 6, it'll take you straight to that field map showing where you have selected to plant your hedgerow, um, what year, and you'll have a lot of the same information. So it's a great resource to have. Implementation requirements, these are things that you'll see on one of the last pages of your replan tool, as well as throughout Butte County Farm Bureau's grant guidelines. So general requirements, again, it's just a single row. There's only one choice for payment scenarios. During that practice implementation, pollinator-friendly tree shrubs and perennial wildflowers is what they're looking for. A plant density of at least or over 200 live plants per acre. Again, we're only doing these small strips, so it's not too bad. Average height 3 feet to extend 15 feet wide at maturity, really depending on the plants. That's kind of more of a general ruling. And you can work with the TAPs if you have any questions on the implementation. It is required in a lot of these practices that the plants be protected and irrigated. That is something CDFA requires, and that's worked into the budget too. I do have some tips, just kind of helping figure out how to set up your site selection, preparation, plant selection, layout, planting techniques, and maintenance and management. With that site selection, just choosing optimal locations. You might decide that, wow, where I said I was going to plant this hedgerow just doesn't work. Reach out to your TAPs or Butte County. We kind of work with you and see, like, is there a way we can fix this? Um, Again, there is some wiggle room with that. Plant selection, if you decide I can't find the plants or this isn't going to work, again, you can reach out. Planting techniques, really doing your research on the plant, making sure you're planting at the right depth, you're watering with the adequate, not overwatering, not underwatering. And then regular maintenance monitoring, checking to see if there's any infestations or disease or die off throughout your hedgerow. These are things you want to keep an eye on because when it comes time for verification, if the whole hedge is dead, you're not going to get reimbursed. And kind of going on to that with reimbursement or verification aspect, the hedgerow practice does require 3 to 5 photographs taken at both ends of the hedgerow as well as in the middle. You need to keep all receipts. For plants purchased, I would also keep any receipts of equipment for the fencing or irrigation lines, anything like that. Just keep the receipts for that. Butte County will have that SharePoint file I'll get into a little later that you'd be able to upload all that. And well as that verification, it's just keeping plants healthy and caring for them. Maintain that plant growth in the project term. It is a 3-year term, even though you're planting 1 year. And then I have the Center of Regen Ag and Resilient Systems where we work. And we have a whole page dedicated to hedgerows and different systems that you see throughout it. We're going to move on now to the mulch application, the kind of changing gears in that aspect. Again, there's a lot of benefits to mulch. I think this is a great practice and it's underutilized in a lot of programs. It helps with such things as moisture retention, reducing evaporation, decreasing irrigation needs, soil temperature regulation, keeping soils cooler in hot climates and warmer and cool, acts as an insulating barrier, weed suppression, blocking out weeds from the sunlight and not being able to germinate correctly. Erosion control, allowing your topsoil not to get blown away when it's windy or taken off when it rains. Enhance soil health, the organics breaking down. You're seeing some of that nice C/N ratio act positively in your soils, promoting beneficial microactivity and improving soil structure in the whole aspect. And then there is some knowledge or there's some talking about improved aesthetics and crop quality. These are some things I've seen some growers actually thrive about that they say mulch helps with all this and improves my crop quality, as well as making, if you don't want to go to a cover crop because you still want your clean, nice orchards, you can use a mulch and still get a lot of those benefits than going with a cover crop. There is quite a few different types of mulches, and I know this screen seems crazy. It's really easy. So CDFA, when you're going through the replant tool, you have two options. You have wood chips or you have natural material. On the left side, we have wood chips. That's only one type of mulch, really, wood chips or bark mulch. This could be a woody residue. It's shredded tree bark, limbs, sawdust from forestry operations. There's a lot of benefits of long lasting. This is a one-time practice over the 3 years, where the natural materials is a yearly application for 3 years. Have a ton of information if you want to dive deeper into it. Slower decomposing, soil structure, microactivity, helps regulate soil temperature. Um, Kind of the ideal systems you see a lot of this is on orchards, vineyards, and some of permanent pasture systems. With the CDFA, HSP does not allow for pasture systems with mulching, but some ranchers will use, especially wood mulch in places where they flood a lot, or they get degraded quite fast, like channels for cattle or sheep. Moving on from that, we have natural materials. So there is quite a few. The ones that we see quite a bit in this series could be your rice hulls, walnut almond shells. We will see probably a little bit of the hay or straw mulch too. These all have some great benefits, just depending on really what you're looking for. Um, just kind of highlight the walnut almond, which I see quite a bit. It is a byproduct, so it's usually normally cheaper, or you can sometimes even get it for free. Long lasting, it's effective weed suppression, moisture retention. Um, Rice hulls is a lightweight. Again, it's another byproduct, or sometimes not as easy to get your hands on. It degrades really fast too, but that could be beneficial to your system, really just depending. I have some just about choosing what you're looking for or choosing the right mulch for your system. Things to consider are you perennial? Are you annual? Do you need it to quickly decompose? Do you want it to last longer? Those are some things a lot of people need to think about. Soil health goals. Are you looking to enhance organic matter, nutrient cycling? You might want to think of a leaf mulch or straw mulch. Um, Mulch longevity and maintenance. Wood chips or nutshells for low maintenance areas. Again, it lasts a little bit longer. Um, the structure of that mulch too allows it to be really good for water sequestering and not flooding as bad. Really depends what you're looking for. Again, I have this nice slide. This has a ton of info on mulches and benefits that different organizations have seen. So we have the UC IPM mulches talking about mulches throughout orchard systems. We have UCCE mulching in orchards again. And then we have organic mulching, a water saving technique. That is an article just kind of talking about water retention with utilizing mulches. Going on to that replan tool, again, this is kind of your heart and blood of your project. There is some differences I want to point out with mulching. So on the top here, we have wood chips or that practice scenario. And at the bottom, we have natural materials. The CDFA, and I've noticed a lot of times the replan almost treats these as two different practices. They all fall under mulching, but their replan and their verification implementations are very different and has some changes. So we move on, you'll see I'll be splitting them up a little more. Some things I want to point out when it comes to the application. So we have that wood chips on top and natural materials on the bottom. Again, wood chips is only going to be one-time application and you pick the year, where natural materials is going to be a 3-year application. Again, you have your nice map. Recommend utilizing your replan tool and just verifying that. If you have any questions with that, please reach out to the TAPs. We'll be happy to help you with that. So we're going to start splitting those off as I talked about. This is the implementation requirements for natural materials. So these are your almond, walnut shells, hay, grass clippings, things like that. Make sure you're compliant, making sure you do have that natural materials on your replan or your application that you submitted. During that practice implementation, materials must be produced off-site. That is important. Greater than 70% of the acreage covered by mulch at a 1 to 3 inch thickness or 1 to 2 tons an acre if using straw. If you are measuring by inches, I recommend going out when you're taking your 3 to 5 geotech photos and utilizing a ruler just to make sure and show that you are hitting implementation guidelines. And then that just goes over the natural materials, what's included, what you're allowed to use. Again, this is all on one of your last pages of your replan tool you can kind of hop into and look a little farther in if you're wanting to. On the flip side, we have implementation requirements for wood chips. So again, ensuring that you do have the wood chip selected and you're not getting confused with natural materials. Um, Again, that material has to be produced off-site. You have to cover the area that you have selected with 3/4 of an inch to 2 inches. Oh, sorry, 2 to 4 inches of thickness on that. And then that wood chips need to be between 3 1/4 to 2 inches in diameter without leaves and hardy enough to last over the lifetime of the grant. So I recommend 2.5, 3 years is what you're looking for. Application rate at above 40 cubic yards an acre or above 10 at least tons an acre is what they're looking for wood chip application. With verification requirements for both these, they require each one 3 to 5 geotag photos showing mulching is implemented, including thickness measured by a ruler, mulch cover. We recommend to take photos of the mulch being loaded, or if you have a pile, take a picture of the pile, mulch being loaded in the hopper, mulch being spread on the field. Those are all key places you take pictures, as well as a picture of the field once the mulch has been laid. It's also important to stay within your APN boundaries. All photos that you take in are submitting to the CDFA or Butte County Farm Bureau need to be within those boundaries that is shown on your replan tool. Super helpful. As well as keeping all your receipts. So any purchases that you do, anytime you're buying material, keep those sheet. You're gonna have to send them over to CDFA. Kind of going over now just some of the geotag photos. I have this in every presentation, and it's just helpful if you're kind of confused about how taking them. I have some information about how to take geotag photos on an iPhone, as well as nice YouTube videos and the CDFA's instructions. And I also have it for Android, and a little bottom right there, you will see a geotagging phone application. That's going to be an app. If you have any problems with this, just reach out to the TAPs. We'd be happy to help you go through this process. This is the app CDFA recommends to use. So does Butte County. It's super easy to use. It's very plug and play. I have their great how-to video, how to use it, as well as a link to the app on the Apple Store. This is, as you can see at the bottom here, just kind of looking at what it has. Basically, you open the app up, you select I want location. It's going to have this little blurb that pops up at the bottom. You take the photo. That photo is saved to your photo library on your iPhone or Android, and then you just submit the photo. That's it. So very easy, very simple. If you have any questions, just reach out. Once you take those photos, you're going to upload them into a SharePoint. You should receive a link to a SharePoint file emailed from the County Farm Bureau. Within that SharePoint, you're going to see a file with your contract number and name. If you open that up, you'll see all the years that your project will be running. So you'll see like year 1, year 2, year 3. You're also going to have a tab for soil test and reimbursement. If we open up one of those years, you're going to see a couple little slides. So you're going to see photos, receipts, and soil tests. So it kind of breaks it down into the different aspects. That's where you're going to be uploading those photos, receipts, soil tests, anything like that. And that is all I have for you. If you have any questions, our contact information is here. Please reach out. Super helpful. If you need anything, we'll be happy to help you.
All right, I got to just on your hedgerows, we have a row existing now that's not part of the